wait a little bit till we start to see some people come in. Give it about a couple more minutes and then I'll start to talk. Good morning, Anthony. All right. Good morning, Mr. Khan. I think that's how you say it. Good morning, both Mr. Khan. So Bilal and Zad. Sorry if I messed your name up. I'll call you Z. Good morning, Carter. All right, so we'll start it. We'll start it up. Anthony, thanks for having me. My name's Coach Rivers with Trinity College of Florida. I was just asked to speak a little bit about the college recruitment process and just how it is from the perspective of you guys of what you guys need to do. So as I'm talking, if you have any questions, just put it in the chat. But I'll start it up with some questions that Coach Anthony gave me, and then we'll go from there. First question, what characteristics do you look for in a student athlete? So for me personally, I'm looking for the GPA. GPA needs to be as high as possible. I tend to frown against those that have at least a 2.0 or below, because there's nothing we can do for you as academically for a package, scholarship package, as well as most likely that player, and everybody's different, but that player most likely may not succeed in the classroom. So I tend not to recruit from those that don't have a good GPA. What's most important to do as a ninth grader? So if you're a freshman or a sophomore, specifically a freshman, keep your grades up. Like, a lot of times freshmen get in trouble and they mess around and they mess up their GPA, and they don't realize that once they hit junior, senior year, that them messing up paid for it for getting extra money. So typically a student athlete doesn't get a 100% athletic scholarship. What they tend to get is money based off of a package, which we look at your grades, your test scores, and all those things. We put it together a package for you. So if you have a low GPA, that's less money to get. So all you gotta do is study, and you'll be able to get as much money as possible, depending on the college. How important are ID camps your 9th and 10th grade years? So depending on your skill level, if you feel like you're a very good player, you should be going to some ID camps your 9th and your 10th grade year. Not just to get seen, but more to understand how the system works and how a trial system works, so that you're not nervous when you get into your 10th and 11th grade year. So as a freshman, get in there so that you don't become nervous. Also, it's a good way to introduce yourself to the coach. So when you're going for big Division I programs, they recruit extremely early. So they're looking at right now they might be looking at the class of 2025. They've already got their class of 2023, already got their class of 2024. So they're looking for early class of 2025 as the program gets bigger. Okay. Next one. Should players or parents reach out to the coach first? Always the player. We are coaching the player. We are not coaching the parent. Like, it's not a good look most of the time. So make sure that you as a player reach out, not just the parent. A coach wants to hear from the player, not the parent. Question, how old do you have to be contacted by colleges? It depends on the college. My school, I can contact somebody that's a middle school, but the higher level programs, sometimes they have to wait till their junior year to make contact. As far as recruiting processes, some have to wait their senior year. So it just depends on the level. Typically, Division One, Division Two, they wait till their junior year, and there's certain stipulations of how they can communicate. And a lot of the times it's through email. They can't necessarily come up and talk to you directly like that unless maybe you're at an ID camp. That's typically how it works for that. What are some of the ways to get scouted? So some of the ways to get scouted, other than ID camps, is to get a good video together. So get a parent. If a parent is too rowdy, as far as typical parents will only follow you, or they'll just forget to record, get a friend or get a significant other. A lot of times, you can just get somebody that'll be able to help you out. Give them, if you're playing in a stadium or something somewhere, just give them a quick like $10-$20 is going to be worth it if you are a standout, if you do well in your games. But make sure it's a game that is not so easy that anybody would look amazing. Also, from scouting purposes, make sure that you reach out to colleges and you show that you've done some research about the program. A lot of times I get emails and they'll say something about, I want to study some sort of engineering. Well, obviously that you didn't do any research on my school because we don't have engineering. So make sure you do some research to the school to make sure that they have what you're trying to major in, and that you've shown that you have actually done some research as far as how many seniors there are, making sure that you know where they recruit out of. So certain coaches recruit out of different countries. So make sure that you understand that. So there's a lot of different things that you need to do as far as recruiting, but make sure when you're contacting coaches, you contact them by the right name. That's not generic, because we can tell, and just do it early as possible, but make sure you have all your ducks in a row. So make sure that you know what your GPA is. I don't know how many kids I talk to ask what their GPA is and they have no idea. So know your GPA. Make sure you have SAT, ACT scores already ready. If you're young and you haven't taken it, then just say you're going to be taking it and give the date that you're going to be taking it. Make sure that you know your major. If you don't know your major, just say you're undecided. But make sure that if you do know your major, that the school makes sense for you. One question: how do you choose the right college program? So every college program is different and it is specific to anybody. It's specific to that player and to that environment. So if you want to be near the beach, obviously you'll pick a college that's near the beach that has a good soccer program. You have to pick not only the program, but you have to pick the school, because if something happens, and you're not able to play, you want to make sure that you enjoy your time at the school first. So don't just pick it all based on soccer. You need to pick it on the other stuff to make sure you like the professors, make sure all the other things correlate to what you want to do academically, because at the end of the day, it's a student athlete, and so the academics come first. What can I do to prepare for college soccer? The biggest thing that you can do to prepare for college soccer is make sure that you like it enough to play as if it's a job. There's a lot of players that quit because they don't like soccer the way that they thought they liked soccer. So they're not willing to get up at 6 a.m. They're not willing to do the extra training outside of season. They don't understand why they're not playing. There's a lot of different things mentally that go on during the soccer season. What are the stats in regards to acceptance to college? So as far as getting into college, every college is different of what they are looking for. We're looking for depending on the GPA, you'll be able to see that on the website. So go on the website of the school you're looking for and look at what it takes to get into the school. So for Trinity College, it's you have to have a 2.2 or higher, and your SAT scores have to be a 980, and then your ACT has to be it has to be 18. So every school is a little bit different when it looks at what the grades are and the acceptance is. Every school is a little bit different, a little bit harder. What is the difference in the skill level between high school and college? So the difference in skill level is pretty significant depending on the on whether it's Division 1, Division 2. When you're talking about college soccer, you're talking about, think of the all-star, the better players, the best players that you played against, all playing on the same team. And then you're always constantly playing against the best of the best. That's what college is, compared to high school, as well as just the grind of a different schedule, different professors, juggling, going and traveling maybe throughout the week, and playing games and having to do homework and those different things. That's basically the biggest difference between high school. Some high schools aren't as strict, so they're not really monitoring what you're doing so much, as long as you keep that 2.0 or above. But college, you're constantly being evaluated, as well as on the field, the coach is constantly seeing where they can maneuver you, because maybe in high school you played one position, but in college you may be a good player, but it's not at this level, it might not be a good position for you. So it's just being able to constantly be able to play and understand that for some people it becomes a job, but it's a job that when I played I loved. But some players quit because they're like, well, we always got to be at the field. We always got to do this. Well, in my opinion, that's what you signed up for. And if you're good enough to get a college scholarship, it is your job. So some people don't realize until they get into the college realm that they really don't like soccer that much, as much as they thought they did. Let's go through. Do freshmen get playing time usually? So the great thing about my school is we're starting the program. The program's been established, but I'm revamping the program. So at my program, I'm playing freshmen. Like, freshmen have an opportunity to play at my program. But at the higher level schools, it's gonna take, unless you are just a straight up baller, it's going to take about a year to 2 years to acclimate to the speed of play, to the athleticism, to the physicality, because as a freshman, sometimes you're just not going to be fast enough, or you may be fast enough, you may be physical enough, but your mind is not there. So you're not able to see the pass, the through ball, if you're a midfielder, that you should see. You're not going to be aggressive enough to make the hit. Or maybe you're aggressive enough to make the hit, but you're just not strong enough because you haven't been in the weight room. So we have freshmen at my school that play, but it's for me personally, it's for me to build them up so that when next year and the year after that they're mentally ready, they're mentally ready to go. How often were you playing at the fields when you played? So for me personally, so a little bit of background so you understand where I come from. So I'm from Tampa, Florida. Tampa, Florida has fields, a lot of different fields everywhere. I played the club system, a youth system all the way to 18, played at a small private school where I got recruited. They came to an all-star game. I got recruited to South Carolina, NCAA Division II. From there, I transferred to Southeastern University in Lakeland, where we won a national championship, and then I played semi-professional for about 10 years. So I played against players that have played professional where they get paid for it, because I got paid for it. Not a lot, but I got paid for it. And then I played against players that played Division 1, Division 2, all across the spectrum. International players, I played against them all. So when I was young, I used to play all the time, meaning I did my homework, did what I needed to do, But say I was driving, this would be like, say I was driving and I was just driving to go somewhere, or just driving because I needed to go pick up food. I always had a ball in the car and I always had shorts on. So I might be driving and I see people playing pickup. I'd park, get out the car, and I'd be playing pickup for another like couple hours. I just text my mom, "Hey, I saw a game," and I'd be playing. That's how much I played. And then if there was no games going on, I called one of my best friends that played with me at Southeastern. But at that time we were still in high school. We would play soccer, tennis, or we'd be working on something that had some sort of technical skill that we were working on. So it was constant, and for us that was fun. Like I had another friend that we used to play futsal in a hockey rink at like from 10 p.m. to like midnight to 1 a.m. just playing soccer, and we'd get a group of people together. So it's constant. I played a lot of soccer, but for me it was fun. If it's a chore, college soccer is not for you. What would a day in a student athlete look like? So depending on the program, it will depend on how much soccer is getting played. So for us, for I can only speak for myself and our program as well as the programs I've been a part of. So but a typical student athlete, depending on the program, gets up in the morning. During preseason, you either have a week or 2 weeks of preseason, which you'll have two or three a days, depending on the coach in the program. After you get out of preseason, school will officially start. Once school officially starts, you start your classes. Now, depending on the program, you might have a 6 a.m. And then you have your normal session, or you might just have one session a day, depending on the school. Then you'll go to class, and then you'll have your session in the afternoon. Throughout the week, you'll normally have around 2 games a week. Some programs might have 3, but if they have 3, that's because they have a big roster and they'll play one roster one day and another roster the next day. But that's not normal. That's not normal. Typically, it's 2 games a week, maybe a Wednesday, Saturday, broken off, split off. So the calendar goes: you go start preseason in August, middle of August. Then you start your season around beginning of September. Then you go all the way until the end of October, and then in the beginning of November, you start your postseason, which is your tournament play. Then after November, you kind of have a break up until February, where you go into spring season. Then spring season goes all the way, depending on the program, depending on how many weeks. Then you have your spring season, and then you go into summer, where in the summer, at least our program, we promote players to go play semi-pro, to go play adult league, to just be playing so that you're ready to go when we get back in the fall to do it all over again. What is the hardest part about playing college soccer? That is a question that is difficult because everybody has their own thing about what's the hardest. So some will say that the hardest thing is being able to balance time with academics and playing soccer. Some will say everybody was big, everybody was strong and knew what they were doing. Some will say the coaches were difficult. Some will say all types of stuff. So it kind of just depends. But those are a couple examples of what makes college soccer hard. Is just the different dynamics. So one college program may be different than another, and that's why you tend to see transfers. So for me personally, what was hard or difficult and why I transferred. So I was at Anderson University or Anderson College, and I transferred to Southeastern after 2 years. Mine was because I'm a Florida kid and I was playing in South Carolina and I was away from family and friends. So I wanted to come back. So it all just depends on the person of what makes college soccer hard. The physicality and all that stuff wasn't an issue for me. Mine was more I just wanted to come back home and be around friends and family. Was there anything that made you want to quit? No. But when you're a college soccer player or you're a higher level player, that just drives you more. So for instance, I was told I was told by other people that I was never gonna play college soccer, and that drove me to prove them wrong. And then you get into certain circumstances where things are gonna get difficult. You might get injured, or there might be some things that happen, but that's that inner part of you that says that doesn't matter. I'm gonna do what I love, no matter what anybody says. So that is it's an intrinsic thing. There's gonna be stuff that makes you quit. That's just life. But it's for you to persevere and get through that, no matter what. So just make sure that you're that mentally that you're ready to go, because that's a mental thing. Quitting is mental. And I typically don't quit at a lot of things that I do. So it's a mentality that you gotta get through it. It's gonna be hard. That's what you signed up for. How important is the college coach in recruitment? What should I look for in a coach? What if they leave? So I'll answer how important is it for a coach. So the coach is very important, especially if you just gotta make sure you get along with the coach and that you understand what the coach is looking for and how they coach. So some players respond by a coach that yells at them. Some coaches respond, or some players respond by coaches yelling at them. Some players respond by the coach talking to them. It really just depends on what you like as a player. So go to the games, see how that coach coaches. Is the coach yelling at the players? Is the coach giving some sort of instruction to the players? Is the head coach, the one that coaches, or is it normally the assistant coaches? Because at some, like the bigger programs, a lot of the assistant coaches are doing a lot of the coaching, and the head coach is doing the management side. So you gotta see who's actually doing on the coaching aspect. Who are you gonna deal with day in and day out? Is that coach approachable? All those different things play into looking at what the coach is and how the coach is. What should I look for in a coach? What if they leave? So if the coach leaves, that's the reason I said you need to pick the school that you can see yourself at, even if the soccer doesn't work out. But if the coach leaves, then that gives a decision. If the coach leaves and you're a freshman and you really like that coach, maybe that coach leaves into a spot that you can follow that coach. Or the coach leaves, now you gotta work your way back into potentially the starting lineup if you were, or maybe if you weren't in the starting lineup, it gives you a new start and a fresh start with the new coach. So yes, it's important to look at the coach, but if the coach leaves, then you gotta have some sort of a backup plan as far as that. But a lot of times is look at the program, look and see how long they keep their coaches. There's some small programs that there's literally a coach every single year. So if you look into that program and you're like, okay, I'm getting recruited by this coach, he's doing a great job coaching, but the program is known for not keeping their coaches for a long time, then that lets you know too. So that's kind of the writing on the wall. As a parent, how can we help during this process? So as a parent, my biggest thing is do not want it more than your kid wants it. So what tends to happen is a lot of times parents are doing the videos, the parents are contacting coaches, the parents are doing a lot of the grunt work, and you realize that the parent really wants it more than the kid does. So as a parent, yes, you support them, but you tell them, hey, you need to reach out. You need to do this. If they